Alright, so just going to go ahead and make a real quick video here. Hopefully it'll be quick. Um, this is the real Bob Dole from Sick of Bad Arguments. And what I'm seeing a lot of on YouTube recently is people getting on and sounding off about Blizzard and their decision to punish this person who decided to make political statements or get political during an interview after a championship game. So what I'm watching right here on my screen is The Quartering, a channel that I actually generally like to watch. I like listening to him talk about different things, but this particular subject, he keeps coming back to it and he keeps making really bad arguments. And obviously, I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and play this and let him speak for a little bit. And right now he's going to be reading from a statement released by this John Needham, global head of League of Legends esports. I'll say up front that I'm not a fan of League of Legends anymore. I used to play, don't like it anymore. I'm not a fan of Riot Games in general. I don't think that they're a very good company. I don't think they're very good developers. You can disagree with that, that's fine. That's not really the point, but I want to make that clear so people don't think that I'm just out here trying to defend Riot and everything that they do. I'm not. This particular case, Riot has made a legitimate statement, and the Quartering basically decides that what they say is not what they mean, even though he doesn't have any good reason to actually believe that. So I'm going to go ahead and let him read this and make his statement.
Chinese company. We have John Needham, the global head of League of Legends esports, saying the following. As we near this weekend's League of Legends World Championship group stage, I want to take a moment to speak clearly about how we approach sensitive topics on Riot's broadcasts. And by sensitive topics, they mean Hong Kong.
Probably.
As a general rule, we want to keep our broadcasts focused on the game and sport and the players. We serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with the responsibility to keep personal views on sensitive issues separate. Now, this is a sentiment that I would normally agree with. In fact, at the end of the day, I do agree with it. These broadcasts should be about the game and not virtue signaling and everything else. However, that's not what John Needham is saying here. He's not saying, well, we
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there. And first of all, what he does here is he makes it clear that he actually agrees with the statement that was made. That should probably be the end of it, but it's not. He not only says that he agrees with it, he reiterates that he basically 100% agrees with the statement made by this John Needham, global head of League of Legends esports. And what this John Needham has put here in his message is absolutely a legitimate statement. As a general rule, we want to keep our broadcasts focused on the game, the sport, and the players. So, what took place with the esports player with Blizzard is he was doing an interview that was part of an event that was paid for by Blizzard. It was arranged by Blizzard. It was about Blizzard and their game and their esport, and he was a player of that esport or that game. And he decided to make a political statement in a place where it was not appropriate, and he had no right to do so. It was against the rules. Their punishment of that person was absolutely legitimate, and it has nothing to do with human rights or what's actually going on in Hong Kong. All it has to do with is an event that Blizzard arranged. So, just like, in the last year or so when Kaepernick was doing his kneeling thing and stuff like that, it has nothing to do with whether or not Kaepernick was morally right or morally wrong, or whether or not his viewpoint was legitimate. Nothing to do with that at all. The NFL was absolutely within their rights to punish Kaepernick for kneeling, because kneeling during the national anthem goes against the rules that have been established for the NFL, as far as I know. And that's not the place to go make a political stand. You don't have a right to go to Blizzard's event, paid for by Blizzard, arranged by Blizzard for a specific thing, and then start making your political statements about your thing. Especially when you are a player there, someone who has been essentially invited to go to this event to do this thing. See, you agreed to go and play by their rules, to do things their way. So it is not a platform for you. So you should keep your thoughts and ideas and things to yourself. And there is no hypocrisy here. They can say that they support people having their own opinions, and they can support people's free speech. This has nothing to do with free speech or the shutting down of it. Free speech refers to explicitly, exclusively to civilian versus government, and has nothing to do with private organizations or corporations or anything outside of the government whatsoever. Any institution, organization, or association, anything outside of the government, free speech is not a thing. It doesn't apply. So, this person did not have the right to make these statements while at the Blizzard event in the way that he did. Blizzard did have the right to go ahead and punish them in whatever ways that they had already written in their rules, and this player agreed to, otherwise he wouldn't have been allowed in. And what the quartering is doing here is he's actually taking these incorrect assessments and now applying it to someone who is entirely separate from Blizzard and the player, and saying that even though he agrees with what this person actually put in his message, suddenly the guy from the quartering has this magical ability to dive into his head and see some other message that he's secretly saying, even though he didn't type that in his message, even though that's not what it says, and even though the message that is written here, the quartering guy agrees with and has indicated he agrees with it. Now suddenly he's able to dive into this guy's mind and see the secret message behind it all. That's ridiculous. What this man has written is 100% legitimate. As a general rule, we want to keep our broadcasts, their broadcasts that they paid for and they arranged, focused on their game, their sport, their players. That's how that works. I'll let him continue.
Says is we serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with a responsibility. But what he really means is China is number one.
What he really means is what he just said.
Chinese man meat in my mouth, and I don't want to get fired. We don't want to have a PR disaster like what Blizzard is having. They're saying we serve people in many countries and cultures, but ultimately we must protect our red state overlord.
Okay, so the statement obviously has absolutely nothing to do with red state overlords or anything like that, and he gets a little inappropriate with his comments, but it has nothing to do with any of that. The statement has to do with exactly what the statement says. They do not want to turn their event that they paid for and they arranged for the players to take part in, they don't want that to suddenly become some political event or some arrangement where the players get on there and use the League of Legends and esports platform to suddenly start spouting political ideas and viewpoints. That's not what it's there for. I don't have the right to go into my job and wear signs about my political viewpoints and tell every customer that I deal with about my political viewpoints and how, this, that, or the other thing is all wrong on company time. I'm not allowed to do that, and neither are these players, and they shouldn't be. Just like Kaepernick shouldn't have been allowed to do that on the NFL's dime or on his team's dime during his job while he was at work. That's not the place for it. And the people who are in charge, who own the business, absolutely have a right to punish those who aren't going to follow the rules. That basically finishes this video. That's the point I wanted to make. I wanted to clarify it. What he's doing here is he is making a bad argument, a very bad argument. And it's not just him. There was also heel versus babyface who seems to be making the same arguments. There seems to be all kinds of videos out there on YouTube just making what is an awful argument. What Blizzard did has nothing to do with human rights. What Blizzard did has absolutely nothing to do with free speech or shutting it down. What Blizzard did, all it is a corporate move, which they are absolutely within their rights and bounds to do because they made the rules for their event. If that guy wants to get on there and make political statements, he can go buy his own cameras. He can go pay for his own people to run those cameras. He can start his own championship event with his own esport, with his own game. He can do all of those things and then use that platform, if he really wants to start spouting his political opinions. He doesn't get to go into Blizzard's event as a player, agree to the rules, and then start making his own political statements on their platform. That's not right.